All right, we are live. What's up, guys? What's up, Eric, Jason, Grant? How you guys doing? It's been a while since I've done a Saturday stream, so it should be a fun time. Okay, let's see here. Let's just make sure. Cam and Mike, that looks good. Test, that looks good. What is up, guys? So pretty pumped today, streaming, or the project that I'm working on, really. I was trying to set it up so I could use my other camera, but I'll show you guys kind of. So I got a little compressor here, bunch of color paints. And the one thing that I'm super excited about is Jason Belmonte is actually going to come on the stream tonight, tell some stories, answer some questions, and hang out with us. It's great. I love to hear it. Yeah, should be a fun one tonight. So I'll show you guys kind of what I'm working on so far. So I have I'll show you guys. Hey, what's up, Tess? What's up, Think Blue? All right. Oh, gonna be a fun night. Okay. So first, I'll show you guys kind of what we were starting with. So these are the bowling shoes made by a company called Dexter. They are the SST6 model. Now, it's interesting that they're actually a little bit different because I guess with the way bowlers, need to just be able to slide basically on this foot. And this is actually really cool. Check this out. So on the bottom of these shoes, they have these pads and they're Velcro. So I actually have taken these off the other two pairs of shoes, which I've already masked. I probably should take these off too, although I'll leave them on later just to show more people. But yeah, that's Velcro. And same with this heel. Let's see. It's a little tricky to get. Oh, almost broke a nail. That would have hurt. Sweet. Anyways, I almost broke my nail. Not taking that off. But these are Velcro as well, so that you can put on different stickiness, I guess, of heel or height or whatever, as well as the shoes come with these different pads. Let's see here. I'll show you guys. Okay. So they come with like a different pad. This is a different type of heel pad that's also on there. That one looks like it's probably much grippier, almost like sandpaper looking. And then on the right shoe, so we have a little bit different. We have this toe box where this red rubber comes up higher. So if you guys see the front of the shoes are just a tiny bit different from each other. I didn't realize that because I had opened up all three pairs, but I was just looking at these. Not bleeding, just red paint. I'm painting red tonight. On this shoe, the right shoe, this keeps dinging. Hold on, I gotta turn off these notifications. On this shoe, the rubber toe is not Velcro on. That's like stuck there. And then on the heel, this part is Velcro also. So you could take a little rubber heel off, which is very cool, by Dexter. So I think that, I don't know, it seems to me like for bowling shoes, these are pretty cool bowling shoes. It also has the BOA system, BOA laces, which are, it's like this little thing that it pops out, and then you can open the shoe like this. You put your foot inside, click this in, and then twist. Let's see, I'll show you guys. So you twist this, bam, it's like a hug for your foot. It's pretty cool. Also, fun fact, Jason and I are same size shoe. And so I tried them on, and they're actually very comfortable, especially for like bowling shoes. You know, I go and I pay $2 and rent a pair of bowling shoes that feel like I'm wearing, I don't know, like rawhide leather on my feet. Anyways, it's cool. They're also made with like actual genuine leather. These ones have been prepped, sanded, very lightly sanded with a high grit, and then also used leather prepper and deglazer. Although this does need, I know that it needs another coat because this part is still showing. On the other pair, when I really deglazed it, that part came off. So with this, I will put, once the pairs are done, I will put the SST6 with a stencil somewhere back on the shoe for Dexter. So I've masked up 2 pairs of shoes over the last few days. So again, you guys can see kind of what the shoe looks like unmasked, and you can see the parts that I masked. So here I've masked all the way around the bottom. I actually need to put a piece of tape there like I did on this one so that I don't get any paint on the bottom of the shoe. So I used vinyl tape, which is like electrical tape basically, which gets kind of bendy to get like a good smooth line across there. And then the regular old masking tape. On this one, I did cover up the logo, which I'm going to leave the original colors, which is black and white. And then if you look on the shoe here, the back of the shoe, this kind of whole heel is actually like a pretty hard plastic. I think it would be fine to paint. However, on one of them, I'm going to paint them. The other one, I'm not going to paint it. And we're going to see. And then I have 3 pairs to do, and I need to send them out ideally on Monday, maybe Tuesday. I could overnight it, but really I'm going to send these out on Monday. So my goal is tonight to get down some base coats on the first 2 pairs of shoes on the stream, then probably stop streaming at some point, and then just stay up as late as I have to do to like finish as much as I can from these first 2 pairs. So that tomorrow I can kind of do a little debrief, hopefully have a call with Jason, show him the shoes, talk to him about what I think I still could like touch up or tweak, or talk to him about the design on the 3rd shoe and see. So ultimately, I'm going to send him all 3 pairs that are all going to be complete. He's going to pick his favorite to wear, and then we're going to do some fun stuff with the other ones. Maybe we'll do like a charity auction or giveaway or something. Okay, so yeah, so just to show you guys kind of which parts I masked. So on this one, I masked the whole back heel, bam, and I masked the whole toe, this whole leather part, which is kind of that shaped. And then I masked off the Dexter. So I just have kind of this all just one big black area, which is several panels. You can see, let's see, there's the toe panel, 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, and then 5, 6 over here. So I think on this one, I'm going to kind of go abstract. I'm going to lay down a base coat of a color. I think I'm going to do a blue on this one, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Lay down a base coat, well, a base color, which will really take probably 3 or 4 coats. And then I'm going to mask off parts of it. And I think I'm just going to do like almost like abstract kind of stripes with tape, hit it with a different color so that wherever I put the tape is where the first color will stick through. Then I'll basically keep repeating that process. And it's hard to see because it's kind of covered up, but I have a Muhammad Ali painting that's back here that I use that same kind of method. I think it worked really well. So this is going to be kind of an abstract, fun, crazy pair. I might even do a little splatter paint. We'll see. It will not be Adidas stripes. Okay. Then we have, let's see, where's the other pair? Yeah, then we have this pair. This is actually the pair I'm going to do first. So this is, as you can see, I masked off much less of the shoe. So I just masked off the lacing system. I don't want to get any paint in the laces. I don't want to mess with the functionality of the shoe at all. Last thing I want is the shoe doing something weird at the PBA and it being my fault that he didn't win another PBA title. By the way, Jason is an absolute monster. And if you didn't know this, his character, like he was on The Simpsons, which is like lifetime goal. If you like make it on The Simpsons, and they're kind of making fun of, if you know, they make fun of everyone on The Simpsons, but he is very famous for bowling with two hands, meaning that he doesn't use the thumb hole on the ball, so he just puts his two fingers in, and then he holds the second hand and he kind of pulls it back with two hands. And that is rare in the bowling, especially like professional bowling world. And he's really, really good. And it means that he can put like a crazy amount of spin on the ball. And like, it's just great. He's just super good. Yes. Oh yeah, be careful with that. That's just here. You can move it totally out of the way. Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. So with this pair, I have I think a really cool idea. I did not mask off the Dexter logo because I'm going to paint the whole shoe, and then at the end, I'm going to come back in. I'm going to paint the Dexter logo a different color. I'm actually going to paint it white with a little bit of like tealish blue. And I don't know how much I should tell you guys about this shoe, but I'm very excited about these ones. This is going to be the first one that I did. I actually started spraying some red earlier today on the test shoe, getting to know my airbrush a little bit, and I think it's going to look good. So as you here, like, you know, here's like one coat. This is after several coats. I just kind of wanted to see like how much paint it took to give the red color and consistency that I wanted. So this one is going to be, like I said, this is just like a test surface. But I'm super excited about this pair. It's going to be red. It's going to be gold with a tiny bit of white and blue. And you can maybe figure out what that means, but it's going to be awesome. All right, let's see here. So I think here I'm tempted to like just start laying down this this red layer, although it looks like some of this tape I kind of got to really go through and make sure that everything's pushed down. Well, I don't want to get any paint on the sock liner. Huh? Oh yeah, do your thing, bro. Brian is here taking photos, which is awesome. I'm gonna grab some tape. All right. So oh yeah, I forgot I hadn't sent Jason the actual link. For email. Okay, sorry, 1 second. Jason is ready to join, which is great. Perfect timing. Invite, copy, email. Belmonte, here we go. Bam. Reply, stream. Okay, there's that. Okay. Sent over email to. All right, great. Okay, cool. So Jason's about to hop on, which is going to be great. Oh, maybe he's already on. Maybe he is already on. Let's see. Yes, he is on. Great. Sick. Okay, cool. Yes. So also, like, check this out. This is Jason's logo. It's like the Jordan of bowling, which I think is awesome. He sent me a high-res version. I bought an automated vinyl cutter, which will help me cut, like machine cut a stencil. So I could do like a really tiny stencil, very precise. So after all this is said and done, not something I'm going to do on the stream tonight, probably something I'm going to do after the stream tonight or tomorrow, but I will be adding, you know, his branding and potentially some other stencil ideas. Anyways, he's going to pop on in just a second. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with these ones because I know exactly how I want to do them. It can be red and gold with some other little accents. Then we're going to do, let's see. Then we're going to do the, got two of those. This one. So this one, which is taped up a little differently. Yes, here he is. Okay. All right. Yo, what's going on?
Belmo, how you doing, man?
Mate, I'm doing good. How are you? I got the notification that you were going live, and I'm like, I don't have the link.
Yeah, I know. I realized that I went live, and I didn't send the link earlier, so I'm sorry. Hey, is there any way to turn your microphone up a little bit? You're a little quiet.
Yeah, I think I can do that. I don't know. Check the sound. Better? Is it better?
Is it set to, is it doing it through your AirPods or is it doing it through your computer mic, or do you know?
No, you're right. That should be better now. Is that better?
Oops. Let's see here. I wonder if I can, if I go here. No.
I yell into my mic if that helps you.
Yeah, weird. Still, well, I guess we'll let the other people ask. I mean, maybe it's just my computer. It still seems a little quiet, but I think it would be fine either way. I don't know how long you were on the stream prior to jumping, like being here, but I've got two of the pairs masked off that I'm really excited about. I'm starting with this pair.
Yeah.
Which I have like a very, very cool, I think a cool idea for. I have a cool idea for both of them.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I'm just, I'm hyped. I've got my compressor set up. I was doing kind of a test on these, just these pair, just getting, making sure everything's running smooth so we can I can do my painting thing. And I think it'd be awesome if, you want to tell some stories, answer some questions. By the way, shout out Storm Bowling. I like the shirt you got going on there. I'm sure
they're the best, man. Love them. Absolutely. Between Dexter on my feet and Storm in my hands, it's been a pretty good career. I'm pretty shocked, to be honest.
No kidding. I saw somebody.
It's hard to imagine it.
Yeah, somebody asked which Dexter shoes these are. So these are SST6. Is that right? Model name?
Yeah, that's the SST6. And the reason why, with the BOA lacing system, so they also come out with regular laces. And it was pretty funny. When I first got sent from Dexter the BOA system, I actually wasn't a fan. I was like, can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure that I'm coming in loud and clear.
It's still, so personally, from my end, it sounds really quiet. But I haven't seen anyone in the comments echo that. So I don't know. Oh yeah, my mom Rebecca said it sounds good. That's good. Patrick says sounds good. Tim sounds good. Okay, it must just be a me thing.
Just you.
Yeah.
So when they first sent me a pair of the BOA system, I wasn't a fan of it because the one thing that I was really paranoid about was, like, if your laces break, I mean, the worst case scenario, you could just go to the sneakers you walked into the building with, grab them out of your bag, or if you have an extra set of laces, and just quickly relace it and away you go. But with the BOA system, I was like, well, what if this thing breaks, right? Like, what do I do now? There's no lacing system. So I was really hesitant. Mm-hmm. And then talking with Dexter, they really calmed me down by reiterating that BOA, it's a lifetime warranty. Like, they are so confident about their product that it won't break, that it's a lifetime warranty. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'll give them a go, right? I'll see what happens. So I put my feet in, tighten them up, and I'm like, okay, this is simple. It looks good. All right, well, let's just see if it ever breaks. And I accidentally tested it one day. So when the system isn't tied tight, as you did before, the laces are kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go and compete, and I put my shoes on. I thought, I'll quickly run the loo really fast before we get this going. And I was running through the bowling center, and someone had on the ground like a bag with, and I don't know what it was. It was like signs or something like that, but they were inside the bag, and one of the hooks kind of went into the lace system. So I was kind of running quite quick. My foot gets caught into these sticks of these signs that they were about to hold up, and my shoe comes flying off, and I'm like, oh no, I've just broken my shoe. Like if that were a pair of laces, it would have ruined the laces for sure. And I grabbed my shoe, looked at it, perfect. I'm like, all right, so it's pretty hard to break these things, which gave me a lot more confidence. And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, let's do the bowler system. I'm lazy to start with, so if I don't have to like tie my shoelaces up, let's go. Let's do it this way.
Yeah, I love it. We just had a comment from a guy, Robinson. He said, Belmo, you inspired me to bowl, and I taught myself how to bowl two-handed. I won the first league I've joined with 185 average 1 year after learning how to bowl.
Dude, I love stories like that, man. I love hearing, kind of, I don't know if they're like people that are looking to me to learn from, but every time I get a message or a reply comment or something like that just says either I took up bowling because I saw you on TV, or I've been working really hard and my average is going up, or comments like that, like I'm winning my league, my first ever league, averaging 185. Dude, it makes me feel so good. Like I love this game of bowling so much.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more meaningful to me than leaving it in a better spot than when I came into it. So hearing things like that just makes me feel good.
And that's awesome. So I'd love to know, I mean, I've done some research. So you're from Orange, right? And
I am.
And when you grew up, your parents, did they like build a lane? You had like the only lane in town, right?
Yeah. So the age-old story goes, Mum and Dad had some family from Sydney, and I live in a really small country town, and it was just absolutely pouring rain one Sunday afternoon with family from Sydney in town. And, in a small country town, there isn't a whole lot to do on the best of days, but when it's pouring down rain, there's even less to do. So someone in the family said, oh, this would be a great day to go bowling. And my mum and dad said, oh, well, we don't have one here. Oh man, that really sucks. It's so much fun. So that night, they decided they would go and build a bowling center together. Neither of them were bowlers. Neither of them had ever actually bowled a ball in their life, but they just saw this business opportunity. So when the year that I was born, actually a couple of weeks prior to me being born, the bowling center opened. So I've been in this game my whole life. And that's one of the reasons why I bowl the way that I do, is because Mum and Dad were not bowlers. They were not coaches. They knew nothing about the game. So here is little old 18-month-old me lifting a heavy ball trying to bowl. And as I was getting older, I had no professional help, no direction. As far as Mum and Dad were concerned, so long as I was out of their hair while they were really busy working and I was happy, then they were happy. So here I was just kind of developing my own little personal style to get the ball down the lane because it was just too heavy for me. And who would have ever have thought that, a few years later, I'd get really good at it. And then quite a few years later, there would be a change in style and in coaching that, now it's become quite a legitimate style around the world. So it's pretty crazy to think it all just because Mum and Dad had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like from an interview I watched earlier that I guess when you came to the States and started playing with your style, people were like offended, right? They thought that like people were mad because you were bowling really well and doing it in a different way.
Well, I think that's the case in nearly everything, right? Like when you're following the status quo and everyone's kind of doing, and the chain of order is as set as it is, if people are happy, that's great. And then all of a sudden now you have someone kind of rock the boat a little bit, doing something a little differently, or, the change of the guard. There's always going to be people that say, hold on a second, this is not how I know the game. So what is going on? Now, when you're coming 50th and 60th every week, no one really gives a shit, right? It's usually once you start winning and people are losing money, titles, fame, whatever it is, if they feel like they're losing, then you become a little bit more critiqued, a little bit more, I guess, in the limelight, especially for the haters, especially for those in the early days, right? So that was always a really interesting and difficult time for me because I'm just the complete opposite. Like, I love everything. Like, it's hard. Well, I don't love everything, but like, if something new comes along, it's got to be really, really bad for me to be like, oh, this is terrible. Like, I usually give everything a go and I'm pretty open-minded. So I don't know. It was just a very different way of viewing something different to me. Like, hearing it took a long time to kind of like understand that it might not necessarily be something personal, or that maybe in some cases they probably just hated me. But for the most part, it was just, whoa, my idea of bowling, what I have been taught and what my father taught me, what my grandfather taught me, and what I've been watching my whole life, this is not it. So I don't like it. And I'm going to tweet that I don't like it. And then I'm going to post YouTube videos that I don't like it. And then that was a very shocking thing for me. I didn't quite understand it. But now I'm 37 years old, a little bit more mature, understand life a bit better, and realize, if anything, you can utilize that type of community as a fuel to just better yourself. But I've come to just completely ignore it and just, hey, if you want to follow me because you like me, then I'm going to give you the best content that I can possibly give you. I'm going to bowl as well as I possibly can, and I'm going to make you, or do my best to earn, the love that you have for me. But if you hate me, I don't care.
Yeah, it's good, man. Haters gonna hate, especially when you're at the top. I also think, like, I gotta commend you, like, and I apologize because I don't know as much as a lot of people do about professional bowling as a sport, and the athletes that compete. But I feel like the stigma across bowling is maybe that it's not like the coolest thing, and I think that, like, something from the minute that I learned about you and started watching some highlights and seeing just everything about, like, your persona, I feel like, and I said this just on the other night, it's like you're a very swaggy bowler. Like, you've got a lot of swag, man. I feel like you're like a superstar, and you rock like the all gold shoes, and you just got it, man. I think that's so cool. Is that like, and again, forgive my not knowing enough about it, but like, have you brought swag to bowling?
I hope that I'm bringing swag to bowling. I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. The problem that we have, and I've gone on record before saying this, and I'm brave enough to say it again. I think as much as the guys from the old days did everything they possibly could to make bowling better, and there were so many things that they did do right. I think the biggest mistake they ever made was they never squished that stereotype early. They let it manifest. They allowed the Al Bundys, of the world to be perceived. That's bowling, and we never did enough to be like, hold on a second. Yes, from a comedic standpoint, that's fine, okay, but from a competitive and we do this for a living. So when you're trying to earn your daily bread, that is not bowling. What Al Bundy does, what you see on a Friday night with the boys and the lights off and the drinking, that's one side of it. Golf, I think, did it really well. Golf had the stereotype of poor dressing. It's beers and cigarettes on the golf course. It's not an athletic sport. And then they said, hold on a second, but look at our players. Our players are getting fitter and fitter. This is not normal. That's not normal anymore. Right. And bowling has done that. Our athletes on tour, you still get your one or two heavier set guys because they're just naturally gifted bowlers. But 95% of the tour now is leaning towards slender builds, muscular builds, fitness, and you can see that in the next generation coming through. So now it's our job to kind of make bowling sexy again and showcase the fit and doing things like this with you. Yeah, it's all part of it. It's like, I want to work with people who are cool. Why? Because bowling's bloody cool. It really is. And if I'm working with you and we're creating some dope shoes and I'm rocking them on Fox Sports, then people who are artists or they appreciate creativity or they love shoes, they see these customs, they're like, oh, I didn't know bowling had swagger like that. That's kind of cool. And that's kind of a part of the plan, is, like I said, leaving it in a better spot. You got to change some of the bad stereotypes, and in order to do that, you got to work with cool people.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome, man. And honestly, I love the analogy to how golf kind of has rebranded itself as a cool fit sport. And I agree. I think, you see a lot of the young guys, like same as you, man, a lot of swag, dressed really well. Like you said, like very fit, great shape. I also think, and I guess it goes with any sport, but it seems to me like bowling and golf are probably two up there at the top. Is that, like, as much as it is a physical sport, which it absolutely is, it's probably a lot of mental toughness and just like getting out of your own way in your own head. Is that kind of something that you found?
Oh yeah, dude. There have been some stories where you just see players completely melt down when either leading a tournament and they just have that meltdown. And again, you can compare it to so many sports, right? It's the tennis player who gets that one bad call from the linesman and he's leading 2 sets to love. And then all of a sudden now he's just gone because he can't let go of that bad point and he ends up losing the match. And the same thing happens in bowling. I mean, we don't have lane judges that award strikes for you, but we have bad breaks. We get pairs that are a little bit trickier than the ones before. It really does show you, or it separates the good from the great. The ones that can handle that bad game and say, okay, I'm going to reset, I'm going to rebuild, to the ones who cannot let it go. And you just see their name slowly and then really quickly fall off the leaderboards. And that's something that I pride myself on. I pride myself as being impenetrable mentally. You can do what you want, say what you want. I'll bowl as bad as I am, and I will always believe if I can mathematically win the tournament, then I am going to win the tournament. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. And the other thing that a lot of people don't realize, which is similar to golf and similar to tennis, is when we bowl, we don't bowl 1 or 2 games, right? Like, we'll bowl 50, 60 games. And you're talking about per day, round about anywhere between, 8 to 12 games a day, and you're bowling with multiple people. So you're on the lane bowling for 6 hours.
Wow.
And you're bowling on really difficult oil patterns where frustration can just build and manifest, and every bad break adds to the pressure. And then you throw on top of, hey, I now need to strike to qualify for the next round or to win. Like, that pressure after everything you've dealt with for 6 hours per day for 5 days, and then it all comes down to one shot. Like, if you're not mentally sharp, if you're not mentally prepared to handle that moment, you'll miss. And that's just fact. So I really work hard and pride myself on staying positive and being able to I have a very, very short memory when it comes to bad shots. Like, if I throw a bad shot, man, it would have to be atrociously bad for me to hang on to it for longer than a few minutes. But that's part of it. Like you said, it's a mental game as well as a physical game, and that's why I think a lot of these younger kids are probably going to break all of the records from the previous generations, because I think they're smarter now. I think they've been taught mental strategies and how to calm yourself down if you need to, or how to let go of bad breaks, whatever it is. Where when I was growing up, man, you kick a ball return, you boot your bag around, you chuck a tantrum. That's how we handled it back in the day. And now it's just, there's so much more education and knowledge on how to better yourself. I'm really glad that I'll be retired by the time these kids start coming through and, smashing us all on the lanes. But it's going to be really exciting to see.
Yeah. At what point, so you got a pretty young start bowling, which is amazing, probably the youngest you possibly could get. Was there like a specific point in your life, I would guess probably childhood, where you're like, this is what I'm going to do, like professionally? Was there like a turning point or like an aha moment where you're like, I can make this my job? Oh
yeah, dude. So let me tell you a story. Okay. So, I've always, because I grew up in that.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm actually gonna mute my microphone. I'm gonna tilt my camera just a little bit because I want to start painting the shoes, but I want to hear the story, and then we'll just keep it rocking. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Story time. Let's do it.
All right, story time. So I was doing really, really well as a junior bowler in, we're talking about small country town Australia, right? So the level of competition was obviously pretty thin, but I was doing really well. And when I was about 10 or 11, there wasn't anyone in town that was keeping up with me. So I would start to travel a little bit, go to surrounding towns, and realize again really quickly that, I'm beating all these people in the next town and in the next town. And then I started to play more state level stuff. And when I was about 15, I started playing nationally, and I wasn't dominating nationally, but I was doing really well. And I think I was just that little bit arrogant that I was like, I'm just going to go to Asia now. Like Australia, I'll take care of Australia really soon. Like, what's the next step? And the next step was in Asia. So I flew with 6 or 7 of my best bowling buddies to Singapore and Malaysia. And I was 16, first time I'd ever traveled for bowling out of the country. Us Australians, 6 teenage boys, we just thought we were the bee's knees, right? And we quickly learned that there are some really, really good bowls around the world, because the first stop was in Singapore, and I absolutely bombed. It was the worst event I had in, like, for as long as I could remember. And I was so cocky, and so I thought I was going to win in Singapore. This is going to be easy, and it just wasn't. So we had a week break, and then we went to Malaysia from there. So we had our little vacation, a bit of a holiday. And while the boys were, pretty much partying, I saw that week in Singapore as like a really disappointing and disheartening moment. And I'm like, I can't let that's not right. Like, I can't bowl like this. So that week I just said, I'm just gonna practice. Like, I'm gonna practice really hard, just not because I'm gonna win, but just because I want to do better. So I'm all the way over here. I spent every day in the bowling center for a couple of hours. Still went to the pool in the afternoon to have my little vacay, but I worked on my game. Then we played the Malaysian Open, and I did so much better. In fact, so well that I rolled a perfect game, and I won $16,000. So as a 16-year-old kid, I won $16,000. I didn't win the tournament, but just that perfect game had a prize attached to it. I think I ended up coming like maybe 20th, 15th, somewhere around there. So I flew home, and I had in Aussie dollars like nearly 30,000 Australian dollars. And I was the richest kid in school. All of a sudden, I could buy whatever I wanted, right? And I had a job at Blockbuster Video at the time, and I was also working for my dad at the bowl. And when I came home, Blockbuster called and said, hey, you got a shift on in a few hours. And I'm like, no, I cannot go to Blockbuster anymore. I just won $30,000 bowling. Like, I'm not putting away VHS tapes anymore. Like, that's not what I am born to do. So I worked that shift, handed in my notice, and said to my dad, I said, hey, listen, I think I want to really pursue this. And Dad's like, all right, well, you've got $30,000 in your bank account. So why don't you see how far that'll take you? And that was the moment where I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, the thrill of that last shot for 300, knowing that I was about to win the equivalent of what some would earn an entire year in one shot was just, dude, I can't even explain to you the thrill of just seeing all the pins fall over. So I'm like, that's what I've got to do. And then since then, that has been my drive. It's just been, I'm going to earn a living. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to beat people. I'm going to lose to people. I'm just going to get better. And until that 30,000 runs out, this is what I'm going to be doing. And thankfully, I've been able to add to it over years. And it's been a very, very fruitful life that I've had, which I'm very blessed.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how like that one win really probably just fueled everything else. Like that was like a big turning point, which is awesome. I also just want to give out a shout to Storm Bowling, who's on the stream. They just had posted in the comments about potentially doing like an art print auction off for charity on the Storm platform. I just want to say I think that's a great idea, and I'd love to do that. So we could talk about that. Another thing is like one of these shoes, I would love to do some type of charity, auction or something, whichever pair you don't.
What if we did like a piece of art? I would love to be the focal piece. That's the selfishness that I'm coming in here because I see so much of the work and I'm so jealous. I'm like, oh man, he's so brilliant. I would love to be on the canvas. But what if we designed a piece of artwork on a canvas that could also be paired with that charity shoe? So you're getting the shoe, but you're also going to get this canvas that kind of ties in. Oh, I lost you there. That ties you in with that ties the shoe into the canvas.
I love it. Yeah, super down. Awesome, man. Let's see here. Let me see if there's any good fan questions because I think it's good. Like I said, I want to start painting. I fixed a couple little tape spots. I'm ready to rock. But the compressor's loud, so I have to mute my mic when I'm actually painting the shoes. And I want to try and get the fans what they want. So let's see here. I saw, and this isn't like a long story question, but someone had asked what the hardest split you ever hit was. I don't know if you're frozen or very staying still.
No, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah. Any like extra, like super challenging spares or like like splits that you picked up that you're super proud of that like you just don't it's crazy that you even hit?
So yeah, there's the 710 split, right? So when on the pro tour, like the 710 is something that I think I would have to double check, but every single pro in the top 50 anyway has made multiple 710 splits, multiple. And up until 3 years ago, I had never spared it in my life anywhere, not in practice, not in league, not in tournaments. And I was miserable because every time I would leave it, I would be like, oh, I'm never going to spare this. I'm just never going to spare this. Then on my birthday, I'll bowl in the mixed double tournament in Texas. I leave it. I'm a bit salty. I'm like, here we go. I missed it. Threw the ball down there. And normally once I throw it, I don't even like to look at it because I'm like, it's just an open frame. I just turn away, turn my back to it in disgust. I don't even want to look at you 710. But this particular time, I just continued to watch it. And I'm very happy that I did because the pin just kind of bounces out of the pit, spins around like a helicopter and spares the 710. And I likened it to, there have been 4 major moments in my life, right? I was married. I've had 3 children. Those are the 4 major moments. Sparing the 710 is somewhere in the middle. it's like somewhere between getting married and having 3 children. It's in there somewhere. It was the most thrilling thing. I've left, I don't know, 10,000 of them in my life. Maybe more, 20,000 710s in my life. And I've never spared it. and then just some random day, which happened to be my birthday, but just some random time I left it, I make the 710. And I didn't know how to react. I'm like, what do? Do you cheer? Do you yell? I don't know, because everyone on tour has multiple. So I didn't know what to do. It was a very awkward thing, but I never forget it.
I love it. I love it. Let's see here. What else we got? What is this from Jason England? Okay. Maybe this is a specific thing. Jason England asked, how hard was it for you to roll as many strikes as you could within 90 seconds? Was this a specific?
Yeah. So there was an event on the PBA tour where in 90 seconds, they give you 90 seconds to roll as many strikes as you can. You get to bowl on 2 lanes, and it's just whoever gets the most strikes kind of wins. We got a little unlucky that day because the pin setters, if you didn't get a strike, the reset mode would just take when you're trying to bowl as many strikes as you can in 90 seconds, the reset mode just took forever. So you had to strike. If you got a strike, the reset mode was pretty quick. One thing I will say, which I would encourage everyone out there to try, put a 90-second or 2-minute timer on and just don't even worry about striking. Just bowl as fast as you can for that 90 seconds and 2 minutes. And if you're not sweating and feel like you're out of breath, I'll be really shocked. I mean, I run, like I'll play, 40 minutes on a basketball court, running up and down. I'll play squash, tennis, I'll go for a 5K run, whatever it is. And I'm tired at the end of them and I'm sweaty, but how I felt after 2 minutes of just the fastest bowling I possibly could was shocking to me. I'm like, I had no idea it was going to take it out of me. So when you throw the speed and the quickness and how out of breath you are, and then you realize, I have to focus. I have to hit a target like that big, and I have to also have good timing in my approach. And it was tough. Like, it was way harder to do than I ever thought. And quietly, I have no idea when we'll do that again, but I've got a feeling one day there's going to be some crazy tournament where it's like $1 million for first, and it's like the fastest strikes you can bowl. So I'm practicing. At the end of my session, I just put a quick 2-minute timer up and go, you never know. You never know when this crazy format will come back, and it could be worth something. So getting better at it, put it that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a good question from Clint. He asked, best surprise bowling fan city or country? Have you gone somewhere and been like, wow, this was really, fans or just in general, like any good travel stories? I mean,
Yeah.
You've been around everywhere, so I'm sure you have some good ones.
Different parts of the world see bowling differently, right? Like, if you could imagine Japan and their culture that, very respectful. There's a lot of bowing, there's a lot of appreciation for Westerners to come in and perform. That's exactly how it is. Your opponent, you're competing, you're beating them, and they almost look at you as if to say thank you. Like, it's a very weird kind of cultural, kind of sports, and just us politeness is very odd. But I enjoy Japan. It's one of my favorite countries in the world, so I love there. But I think the biggest shock for me was going to Portland, Maine, for the very first time we ever went to Portland, Maine. It was the first time I had ever experienced tailgate at bowling, like fancy dress costumes, just young, tattooed, drunk, loud, cheering environment. And that was something that, one, I love. Like, I love when the fans are having a good time, because, and this is true, I think, regarding any sport, but the sport itself should be secondary, right? Like, the athletes and what we're doing, we want to put on the best show possible, because we want our fans to have the best show possible. And we could make bowling be utterly boring. We can change the rules and change everything just so the athletes have like an unlimited time, for example, right? Like, no, take your time, guys. If you need to take 2 or 3 minutes to prepare yourself to throw your shot so you can execute perfectly, that will get the best out of the athlete, but the fans and the viewership is going to be bored out of their mind. So I often say, in order for any sport to thrive, you have to have a really good balance. And bowling, I felt like we just didn't have that entertainment where I could tell you, Blake, and say, dude, you've got to come to this event because it's like a party and everyone's having so much fun and you can dress up in some crazy outfits. I've never had that. So when someone says, should I go to a bowling tournament? I usually say, look, if you love bowling and appreciate what we do as athletes, you will have the time of your life. But if you know nothing about the sport of bowling and you come into a regular tour event that's relatively quiet, you get your golf claps for good shots every now and then, I don't know, that's a really hard sell to someone who just doesn't love the game of bowling. But Portland, Maine, I can grab anyone off the street and say, you're going to have the time of your life. You are going to have the time of your life. One thing that they do really well there is the manager and owner of Bayside Bowl, shout out to Bayside Bowl in Portland, Maine, Charlie, he works so well with the town to promote it, to get the people to come in. And then we athletes do our absolute best to make sure that we are really accessible to the fans. So, you know, we are bowling pro-ams with them. A lot of the guys have become friends with some of the fans. So they go to pubs, they go to have dinner with them. You know, it's a type of environment that I wish organically would happen more in bowling, because you can't force it. I can't just say, hey, everyone here in Detroit, just get real drunk and wear some fancy dress stuff and have some fun. Like, it just doesn't work if I tell them. They have to organically do it. So I'm hoping Portland will encourage other places to do it.
It's awesome. I have a question that just kind of came up in terms of like other professional bowlers. Are there bowlers that you're like very close with, whether you train with or in constant contact with? They're like, because you know it's yeah, I mean that's kind of the question. Are you close to them, or is that one competition?
It's hard to have lots in your inner circle because I've come to find as you mature, and I'm sure all of us, as you mature, you look back and you say, man, when I was in my high school days, college days, I could go through my phone and call like 100 people, and I could go and have a drink with like 100 people. Now, as you get older, that list gets thinner and thinner, but it gets stronger, right? Like the people who I look at now, who I spend my time with, I feel like if I was in serious trouble, I could rely on any one of them to help me. Where before I may have had more friends, but I didn't have nearly as many people now as I do now that I could truly rely on in a time of need. So with that being said, I would imagine the best way to describe it is I'm very personable and very friendly with pretty much everyone on tour, but I have like a couple of guys that will go to dinner. We'll talk about our families. You know, when it's been a bad day, we can kind of vent to each other about it. And I think that has made life on tour a lot easier, not needing to please 100 people, but just been a really good mate to a select few, and then just been nice. Like, there's nothing wrong with being nice. I don't need to be like, you know, hey, how was your day, Steve? You know, and then 5 minutes later, hey, Brad, how's your day? Like, you know, at the end of the day, Brad and Steve don't really care about me, you know, and that's fine because we're not close. So with that being said, I'm in a couple of group chats with like 3 or 4 guys that I really feel like I'd die for. And I think they would, well, maybe, I don't know. I get the feeling they would die for me too, but I don't know that. I don't want to test it. Okay. I don't want to test that and realize really quickly, oh, great. My mates won't die for me. That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's an individual sport. You know, we don't really play in a team environment. So you're beating them or you're getting beaten by them. So it's hard to be like super chummy with a bunch of people that are all beating you. It can get quite heavy on your shoulders.
Of course. Yeah. I have a non-bowling question, artist question. I see it looks like over your, I believe, right shoulder, there's like a little side of a painting.
There is,
Kind of
indeed.
looks like my shirt, actually, a little bit. Dude, that's awesome.
So that's an artwork that my wife happened to pick out. I don't have the eye like she does. So there's art all through our house, and we're actually in the process of building a new house. So we've moved to a little 8-acre property. We have like a guest house here at the moment that we're living in, and we're about to start building the main house. So she's already in the process of, that'll look nice in our next house.
Good.
So
I like that. That looks like a beautiful piece.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. It is. I don't know how much it costs because I never asked that question.
Don't ask. Yeah, don't ask.
No. I would rather just think it's $100 and be like, hey, that's a bargain right there, and leave it at that. So throughout the house, there's artwork on the ground. There's, they're hanging up, but at the end of the day, she's got this big plan on how she wants our main house to look.
Right. And are you guys you're still in Orange?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll more than likely die here, which is quite fine by me. It is a beautiful spot out here. We're 4 and a bit hours from the center of Sydney, like downtown Sydney. So we live where the kangaroos are. We live in the country, in the bush. We've got some beautiful wineries, amazing walking track, hiking tracks, motorbike tracks. And I grew up, if I wasn't in the bowling center, the other half of my family, my mother's side of the family, owned apple orchards. So I grew up on thousands and thousands of acres of apple trees. So being able to be in the outdoors and ride motorbikes, I don't know. I get a perspective of the world, which is really unique. This country living, but also get to jet set around the world and go to the biggest cities in the world where it's lights and everything's fast paced, only to come back home and truly relax.
Yeah. Speaking of travel, so when do you head stateside?
What day is it today? Sunday, 11:30 a.m. here. So I leave Wednesday noon. So yeah, I'm pumped about that, dude. If you had to ask me 2 months ago, if I was going to be traveling, I would have said, I don't think so. I had some issues with my visa because at the beginning of the year, my athlete visa had expired. So when I'd planned everything in April to come home, renew my visa, no problem. But before April rolled around, COVID happened. So the first thing that all government agencies did, right, was just close everything down. So the visa application office, the consulate, just closed and said, we're going to move your appointment from April to May. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll handle that. Then it got pushed from May to June. I'm like, okay. Then it got pushed from June to August and then August to December. I'm like, no, I need this visa. Long story short, I applied for all of these kind of speeded up what is it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. I applied for a rush on all these things. Anyway, I'll think of it in a second. But I applied to get my visa done quicker, and it was just a nightmare. And then there's a bowler, Warren, if you're out there. I don't know if I want to say your last name, but he works in the immigration office in the US. So I reached out to him and said, hey, listen, we've got some big events coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there. And he said, listen, I've got some colleagues in Australia. Maybe I can just, I don't know, I don't know if there's anything we can do, but let me see if they can have a look at you. So basically the reply back was, oh yeah, we've seen the request. There's a lot of people that are requesting for an emergency. That's what it is, an emergency visa renewal. So we know he exists in the system. Tell him to be patient. that's all we can really do. And then a couple of weeks later, I get the email saying, yeah, you're gonna have your visa ready to go. So I'm like, oh my God. So I don't know if Warren did more than what he told me to keep it on more of the download, just to kind of play it off like he didn't do anything, or if he literally did nothing. I don't know. But either way, right? I got my visa.
All worked out.
All worked out. So now I'm super pumped to get to the US. And I also had to apply to my own government. So Australia and the US are a little different in how we're handling COVID. We're really, really strict here. Really strict. Like, we're limiting the amount of people that are allowed to come into the country. When you do come into the country, which is something I will have to do after I get back, is there is a government mandated 14-day self-isolation period in a hotel, which is fully self-funded. You have to fund that yourself. I think it's like $4.5 grand or something like that to pay. And if you want to leave, you have to apply and you have to state your reasons. And if your reasons are acceptable, then you can go. And at the end of the day, all they're trying to do is limit the amount of people that are going into countries that could potentially, be hotspots where you then come back to Australia. And we're an island. There's nothing connected to us. So whatever we bring in can affect the entire country quite quickly. So that's the process. But I've ticked all the boxes and crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, jumped through all my hoops, signed all the red tape. I'm thinking of every other kind of possible analogy I can say right now. But I'm good to go is basically what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I got a couple questions. How did the videos with Dude Perfect come about?
Okay, so we touched on it briefly.
Perfect is, so maybe you first explain what it is.
I will. All right. First off, Dude Perfect is the largest YouTube channel in the US. It has nearly 60 million subscribers. They're the second largest YouTube channel in the world. And the channel is comprised of 5 best friends from Dallas area who started off the channel by just doing trick shots, but not just any trick shots, like some of the most outrageous trick shots you'll ever see, things that you would assume they're impossible. Well, they ended up doing them and recording them, and their channel just blew up. So they were working with a group called The Whistle, and The Whistle is, I guess it's like it's an ESPN, Fox Sports type for YouTube, right? So this Whistle would reach out to all of these athletes and influencers and say, hey, come under our umbrella and we'll help produce some of your content and we'll promote you and you can kind of be a part of our channel. Okay, cool. So Dude Perfect is with The Whistle and I get an introduction to go and be a part of The Whistle. So now we have a mutual partner in The Whistle. I'm having a meeting with them and they're talking to me about some ideas that I've got for some potential upcoming videos. And I said, hey, listen, I've got this crazy idea, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I may need some help pulling it off though. And I also think this has to be a collab. Like there's got to be a group or a person that I can work with on this. Like, what's your idea? I'm like, I want to bowl in a skate park and I want to do trick shots where we make the ball do some crazy stuff, but outside of a bowling center. And they're like, oh my God, we've got the perfect group. They're called Dude Perfect. So I did my research and I'm watching their videos and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are great. So they connected us. We did the first video, super successful, like 100 million views. If you haven't seen it, it's wild. It's a lot of fun. Go to the Dude Perfect YouTube channel. And I think you can just type in Dude Perfect Jason Belmonte and it'll pop up. And then we ended up doing a second video. It's not as popular as the first, but I like to think that it's a better video for whatever reason. I think there's some better tricks in it. And then we're eventually hoping, fingers crossed, we're trying to work some schedules out to do a third one. But so that's how that all started, just with a crazy idea, a mutual partner, and then basically connecting the dots. And then it's probably the most fun I've ever had shooting a YouTube video. Like, it is crazy cool how committed they are to doing the trick. This is the other thing I realized. So the trick shot artists, and if you've ever done a trick shot, even if it's the most simplistic trick at home where you're like, I'm going to throw the socks into the waste, into the laundry basket, or paper into the waste paper basket, it can take a while sometimes, right? And that's just a really simplistic trick. So when you create these very complicated ideas, they can take hours. And I was like worried that we were going to try to do some of these outrageous tricks and it was just going to, it's too hard. You know, we can't do this. But they were the complete opposite. They basically said, if we say we're going to do the trick, then we stay until we get the trick is done. Like, if it means you've got to stay in the US for a little longer to get all these tricks in, then that's what we're going to do. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So there are some of these tricks that took, 2-3 hours. In the second video, there was one trick. I bowled the world's longest strike. It was in a car park. It was 250 yards long, and it was undulating. There were rocks. There were cars in the car park. We had to kind of make sure we didn't hit. And it was in the middle of summer. It was boiling hot in Dallas. And we started the trick, and it was like, this is going to take forever. And they were like, come on, man, you've got this. They were so positive and like pushing me. I thought it was going to be me needing to like convince them to carry on. But they were like, no, dude, you've got this. So like 5.5 hours later in the blistering heat, and we wouldn't stop. Like, I'd throw this ball, and if it missed, we'd pick the ball up, run 250 yards back, and we'd do it again. And we'd do it again. And we just kept going for 5.5 hours. I swear to God, I've never dripped in sweat as much as I did that day. Like, I've never run and carried bowling balls in the blistering heat, trying to do some ridiculous trick just so we can get it for like a 30-second clip in a YouTube video. It was outrageous, but a lot of fun.
Very cool. There's another question from the same person. Says you have the record for the world's fastest strike, 140 miles per hour.
Yeah, actually, it was probably a little quicker than that. Wow. But the speedometer, we only caught it at 140, and it was kind of shaking over it. So we don't know the exact, but I think it was closer to 145 miles an hour.
Wow. So what did it take for you to do that?
That took planning. That was another crazy thing. So the world's fastest strike was an idea that I had to do with Dude Perfect, right? And so there's the idea I had was I wanted to be on the back of a pickup truck, right? And kind of find, I don't know, some empty space, maybe like an airport strip, and hire out an airport strip, something like that.
Is this like was this the NASCAR?
That's right. Yeah.
Dude, I did see that. Oh, that was sick.
So Dude Perfect say, oh, look, we don't know how to do this safely, right? Like, we've thought about it. We don't want you on the back of a pickup truck traveling. At the time, I wanted to do it at 60 miles an hour, right? I'm like, if I can be on the back of a pickup truck doing 60, throw a bowling ball off the back, get a strike, that'll be the world's fastest strike. And they're like, we just don't know how to do this safely. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So I'm doing a Chris Paul charity event. And at the charity event is Eric Almirola. And he is a NASCAR driver. And he comes up to me and he says, hey, I just want to let you know, my kids and I are big fans of your video with Dude Perfect. I said, okay, cool. He says, man, how do you come up with these crazy ideas? So I told him, and I said, I've got one more. I want to go and do the fastest strike in the world, and I want to be on the back of a pickup truck. And he looks straight in the eye, and he says, but why do you want to only go 60? And I said, that's a good point. He goes, why don't you come in my NASCAR? We'll go a lot faster than 60. And I'm like, do you want to do the world's fastest strike with me? He's like, hell yeah, I want to do the world's fastest strike with you. So we get together with NASCAR. We talk to Charlotte Motor Speedway. we get Storm to custom build some bowling balls that are way more durable than regular bowling balls because we knew we're going to throw them out of a NASCAR traveling at ridiculous speed.
Yeah, I was wondering when you like put it outside. I'm like, I don't know how it doesn't just like crack.
Well, that's the geniuses at Storm. So that was a pretty funny conversation. So I call Storm and I say, hey, when I throw a bowling ball onto like the road, like how fast would I have to go before it would just like crack in half? And they're like, that's a really weird question. Like, dude, we don't want you throwing our bowling balls like on the road. Why are you throwing our bowling balls on the road? I'm like, no. I'm just curious. How quick? Like, if I was doing say 100 miles an hour, would it break? And they're like, honestly, we've never tested it. Like, we don't know, but we would imagine there'd be some serious damage done to the ball. So I'm like, okay, well, what if I wanted to go faster? Could you make a bowling ball that could withstand the friction and the pressure of hitting the road at that speed? They're like, oh, you got to tell us what's going on. Like, why do you want us to custom make these bowling balls like this? So I tell them, and they were like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. So they custom build these balls. I have a couple actually here, and they feel they're a little bit heavier than normal, but you can feel that the weight, it's like this one solid ball. So what people may not know is a bowling ball has parts to it. Inside, think of it like this microphone, okay? Inside of the ball is a weight block. And the weight block is designed and has all different shapes. There's so many different designs of weight blocks. And that is designed so as it rolls down the lane, the weight block can turn and it can pull the ball into a direction. Mm-hmm. Around the weight block, we have cover stock. And that's that kind of harder material that hits the lane. So you can have a shiny ball, which is designed to go straighter. You can have a cover stock that's designed to grip earlier. You can have so many different variations of cover stocks, and they're all designed to do something different. So this ball doesn't have a weight block. It's just pure cover stock all the way through it. So it's a really, really tough material. And you can feel it when you're holding it, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel like a normal bowling ball. So when we threw it out the window doing 140 plus miles an hour, and then I show it in the video, like there's just some scuff. Like it's crap. Like you couldn't use it in tournaments or anything, but there's no cracks. It held unbelievably. It's just, imagine rolling a ball on the road and getting those scuff marks. That's pretty much all it was. And I said to the guys at Storm, like, dude, you guys, if we ever made a bowling ball that was purely like this, we would break every record ever because it's so strong. It would knock over all the pins all the time.
It's awesome. How many times did you have to drive by with the car, or was it first time?
Oh, so here is something that not many people know. I'm going to break it right now on your channel, all right? So the NASCAR that we had was, it wasn't Eric's actual race car, right? It was like a kind of demo NASCAR that the reason why was because we had to fit it to have a passenger, and then the passenger needed to have all the safety harnesses. So we needed to grab a car that we could modify so it was safe. So we didn't have his actual race car. We had this test one. And this test one is really designed to just do like 3 or 4 laps, and then you cool it down. And then you do 3 or 4 more laps, and then you cool it down. So I say to Eric, I'm like, how long do you have to cool it down for? And he's like, well, we would really love to give it more than half an hour would be great. So I'm like, oh man, like you think about 3 or 4 laps, how long that takes to like set it all up, get the ball, do the lap, throw the ball, miss it, pick the ball up, do the lap, throw it, miss it. And then you got to wait for 30 something minutes. And then as the day was going on, that break has to get longer as well because the engine's already warm. So it's like the next one might be an hour, and then it might be an hour and a half. So I'm like, we may run out of daylight. So we're on our 5th lap, and we've already gone 1 lap past when he said we should be cooling this down. And I say to Eric, I'm like, hey, should we, and in the video you hear me say it, I'm like, should we cool this thing down? And he says, no, let's give it 1 more lap. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we go around. He floors it. Absolutely, like the G-forces in a NASCAR when you come out of that bend are outrageous. It is outrageous. So he absolutely floors it, and I throw the ball out the window. We get the strike. We go crazy. He's doing burnouts. He's doing all of those things. We come into the pits. We celebrate. We cool it down, and my videographer says, right, we got it. It's going to be amazing. But I'd love to get some extra B-roll of you guys in the car or just driving around the track. All right, can we get out there? And yeah, we're gonna let the engine cool down. So we let it cool down for half an hour. We go back to it, and the engine is done. It just won't start. And I'm like, what do you mean it won't start? He's like, no, the engine's done. It's just we've fried it out. Like me doing all those burnouts and just hitting it extra hard on that last lap, like we've got to let it cool down for like the rest of the day. So I'm like, are you kidding me? We were literally one lap away from not being able to do this. And dude, we hired the track out. We had all of the like fire brigade and all these people there for like in case, you know, the bowling ball, I don't know, went berserk. And because if you can imagine a track, we had people there, we had a car, we had people driving pretty quick on it. You need like the emergency services in case you have a crash or something like that. We had all these people planned and organized to be there for this one day. And on our very last lap, we actually nail it. And it was our last chance to actually do it. We had to push the car back to the other side of the pit so they can pick it up. And I just, dude, I was laughing with Eric so much. I'm like, could you imagine if we missed that last one? Like, the amount of money that has gone into making this happen that we would have just blown would have been outrageous. So anyway, there you go. I haven't told too many people that story.
Dude, that's awesome. That's actually the very first video when Jim told me about you and kind of this collaboration and the potential. I was looking up on YouTube, and that was the first thing that came up, and I thought that was so rad.
Shout out to Jimmy Callahan. Jimmy Callahan is my he's my caddy, so to speak, right? But he's more than that. But that's the best way to describe it to non-bowlers. He's my tour rep. So when I'm bowling on the pro tour, Jimmy will help me, you know, hey, what's going on out there? What are you seeing on the lanes? This is kind of what I'm seeing. How should we strategically play the next pair of lanes? How do we drill equipment to better your chances of winning? And all these like things that I know nothing about. Like he's brilliant when it comes to like drilling balls and stuff. And we have 3 tour reps on tour. Sean Ryan, if you're watching, hi Sean. Timmy Mack, Timmy, what's going on? And Jimmy Callahan. So Jimmy is the link between Blake and I. He was telling me about you like pretty much as soon as, because he's a big card collector, Jimmy. Loves his cards. Loves them.
Yeah.
So he would tell me about the stuff that you were doing. And I'm like, I gotta get to like checking this stuff out. And then I'd watch him paint these artists and paint these cards. And I'm like, dude, the guy's a genius. Like, why is he friends with you, Jimmy? He's a genius. And then
I love Jim.
He's like, no, I got to get you two to talk and maybe you guys work on something. So thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the cards, someone else, Eric, who's on this stream tonight and always, had suggested maybe us collaborating on a card. Do they have any? Are there any bowling cards?
So between you, me, the viewers who are watching live, and then potentially wherever this goes afterwards, I have a serious passion to want to bring back PBA autograph cards, players cards, like a massive passion to do it. I've never really known the market for bowling in this space before, but I would have to believe, just like everything else we do in bowling, there is a niche market that would just be like, dude, this is dope. Like, I'd love to collect these cards. And I don't know. So I'm actually already preemptively looking at, I don't know, finding a way to work with the PBA to really make it legit.
Yep.
Get them printed, have some like, I know how it all works. Jimmy tells me everything about these things. So he's like, yeah, man, you need to have like some real limited stuff. You need to have like the crap that no one cares about. So I've already got my idea on a few players that they're those cards, right? The throwaways.
Yeah, the bits. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. On the manufacturing side, I have a great relationship with Topps. They're the biggest card company in the world. Panini is also a good company, but my relationship is with Topps, and they are very open to me bringing ideas to them. In fact, last week,
Do it,
and
bring it up to them.
Yeah, so I literally had a phone call with them last week with a different league for a different sport that they've never done cards for before, and they're super open-minded. Now we have a follow-up call next week, and it's very possible that happens. And so I'm happy to help make that connection and make that intro. And Topps has been really, really cool with me, and they're like the best at what they do. So it's really good if you can start at the top. If Topps is making the PBA cards, I think that would make a lot of people excited about it. And that'd
be dope. That'd be so sick.
People into bowling, and also could expose Topps to new markets of bowling fans. And I think they do all kinds of stuff that's niche. They did a series and I only know about this because of on the phone call last week, but they did a whole card series for the a cornhole tournament, American Cornhole Association or something like that. Which is such an obscure, kind of fun sport. But they said that it did, within the scope of it being a niche thing, it actually did very well. And they thought it was very successful. So they're definitely open to trying, alternative sports outside of baseball, which is what they're most known for. So we should definitely discuss, we'll keep that discussion going. And that could be something where, I'm going to do the shoes. I'm hoping to do a portrait before the PBA, which would be ideal this upcoming week of you. And then we could take that, we could show it to Topps and show them a tiny version and say, hey, this could be the first card. So just an idea.
No, that'd be sick. That'd be so sick. All right, let's talk more about that afterwards. I've got two things that I want to ask you because I have to get going relatively soon. But number one,
I gotta get moving. I've been loving all the stories, and I have, I've gotten some stuff done. We've gotten a couple coats of red down. I'm still gonna do these panels, this panel gold, this panel gold, this panel gold. I've got a really cool idea for this one. For both of them, but I still have a ton to do on these, and I've just been so enjoying listening to you tell the stories. And whenever I turn my compress, when I turn this on, it's kind of loud, and so then it's harder to hear you. So I've been painting slower than I normally would. Anyway.
Well, that was the two things I was going to ask you. I wanted to get an update on the shoe, right? Because everyone who's listened to this, I have fallen in love with shoes in the last 18 months. I'm a bit of a hype beast, collect my Yeezys, collect my Jordans, and I've just kind of fallen into this very weird. I kind of feel like an old dude repping heat on the feet now. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm a little
heat on the feet.
Yeah, so I feel a little awkward, but at the same time, I just love it. I absolutely love the sneaker culture, which kind of ties in a little bit to the playing card culture, right? Where it's collectibles and certain pieces have certain influencers or artists that work with them, collabs. Anyway, so I'm so pumped for these shoes. I don't think anyone listening truly will understand. This is going to be so dope for me. And then to work with you as well, I truly think you're an amazing artist. I think it's so exciting for me to be, rocking some dope Blake Jamieson shoes. I don't know. It would be like Kanye. I know this maybe sound a little over the top, but it would be like Kanye saying, hey, I heard you like my Yeezys. Let's do a Belmo Yeezy. I'd be like, yeah, let's fucking do a Belmo Yeezy, Kanye. Working with you and what you're doing with bowling shoes, I'm so pumped.
Nice. That's awesome, man. I'm super excited. I think I've done a little bit with shoes in the past, but really nothing too serious that I've been this excited and dedicated to the fact that I went out and did my research, got the air gun and all the everything, and really I know we've been talking for a long time, and I'm sorry that the event is next week and I'm just now painting the shoes, but I think that with everything else that I do, it's really all about the prep work and the preparation, both in like physically preparing the shoes, but also like just understanding how it translates from like canvas to shoe. So I couldn't be more hyped about this shoe project, and like the timing of everything is awesome. And I'm so like grateful that Jim connected us. So I think,
yeah, absolutely.
I think like, so my plan is, and I kind of mentioned this earlier before you jumped on the stream, but I have 2 ideas for the first 2 pairs, which I already have masked off. I'm going to finish those basically tonight. After the stream, I'm just going to keep working as long as it takes to make them look nice.
Right.
Then I'm going to take all the tape off and stuff. I want to show you pictures or videos or whatever. I'll show you kind of the whole thing. And there might be some small things to say, hey, look, I'm going to touch up this little thing, or I'm going to add this. But in general, I'm going to have 2 pairs done tonight so that tomorrow I'm going to send them to you and get your feedback. And you can look at either, like, I just want to know like what you like, what you don't like, what you could see different, whether I change it on that shoe, or, we have the 3rd pair, which I've just done the leather prep, but I haven't masked or anything, because you might say, hey, this was sick because, we could see this red, like, let's leave that on this one. Or, basically this one is going to be whatever we decide, or really whatever you decide based on after seeing the first 2 pairs. And the first 2 pairs are going to be very, very different. They're going to be like opposite end of the spectrum, because I kind of want to show you like what's different directions we can take it.
Love it.
Love knowing that you're like a, kind of hype beast into the shoes. I love the heat on the feet. I think that's great. So yeah, so that's the plan. As soon as you bounce out tonight, I'll probably do the same, and I'm just going to get to work. And then I know we're like on a crazy time difference, so I'm guessing you probably won't see the pictures until you wake up tomorrow. But hopefully you'll wake up to some sweet pictures. You can send me whatever feedback you want. We could jump on a phone call tomorrow, or like a FaceTime, and we could like, video the shoes, and we'll go from there, man.
I'm so excited. Stop talking to me and get to work on the shoes. All right. Like, hang up on this phone call. Say like, go away. I got work to do.
I know. It's funny, yeah. That's why I stopped streaming on weekends, so that I could just like focus on my work. Yeah. Anyways, man.
All right, I'm gonna go anyway too.
Yeah.
So, dude, it was awesome chatting with you. Hi to everyone that's been watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'm seriously gonna do my best to kind of blow these shoes up. I'm also gonna talk to Fox Sports too. Like when I wear them on the tour, see if we can't get some really cool close-ups of the shoes. Tell them all about you and what we're doing. And obviously, if we're going to give one away to charity, or do like Storm had suggested, to do like a canvas painting and kind of match the artwork with it. I don't know, we can maybe hype it up a little bit and see if we can't get more people around the world excited to auction it off, or whatever it is, raise money.
Sure.
I think we've got to do our bit to, if you've got a platform, you're probably supposed to use it for good, right? So let's see if we can't.
Absolutely, man. Well, Jason, thank you so much, man. This was a blast. I know that everyone had a blast as well. Jim, again, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Storm, shout out Dexter. Yeah, everyone, man. Just thanks for everyone that made this happen. I'm going to go to work. You're going to go do whatever you want to do. So
peace, people.
See you, man.
Have a good one.
I'll talk soon. Bye. Stay awesome. All right, guys, that was super fun. But yeah, seriously, it was challenging to paint as much as I wanted to, because his stories were awesome. I wanted to hear them. So I am going to be here, right here, working with that compressor. And let's see, we got all my paint colors right down here. I kind of want to tell you guys what the idea is, but I'm not going to, because I want it to be a surprise. And I don't want any of you guys to tell Jason, because it should be a surprise for him too. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'm going to get to work. Love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, grateful, peaceful, and awesome.